Well, hello, good evening, and welcome. It's Pluto Man here, obviously, and I'm going to show you a couple of hands today. It says two badugi hands. That is what I'm going to show you. I'm not going to lie about this. They're two hands, they're both going to be badugi from two separate tournaments, though, that I played. And one of them is a fixed limit hand. So it's a hand from a $5.50 fixed limit badugi tournament, and I haven't cashed in that tournament since I don't even think I'd like to know when. It's just been so long, and I didn't cash in this one either, as you will see. So that's the first one, and I had a decision to make. Obviously, this is the thing. I'm showing these two hands because I had decisions to make. Second one, I actually did cash in that tournament. That's the pot limit, which was only a, now is that a 440 buy-in or 220? I think it's only a 220 buy-in. Yeah, 220 buy-in. And yeah, so I didn't exactly make a ton of money in that tournament, as you'll see. See what happens in that particular hand, even though I did actually cash, but kind of who cares? Right. But I mean, we're not dealing with huge amounts of money here, but I think it's still, you still want to be able to make the right decisions. Still want to think about what you're doing. As a lot of this is sort of probability based, and yeah, and luckily, well, not luckily, I back in 2009, I when I was working, that's right, I had a mind-numbing job that involved staring at a screen. I wasn't engaged in what I was doing, honestly, and I managed to spend a little bit of time, well, luckily I was dealing with spreadsheets all the time, so I could just mess around in spreadsheets and nobody knew what I was doing. Trying to work out some probabilities about badugi back then, which was kind of helpful because it meant I had a bit of more of an idea when I actually came to play it for real. Uh, Not long after that, I was very intrigued by the game in '09, I remember. It's a long time ago now, isn't it? Feels like a very, very long time ago. Anyway, I'm going to show you what happened in the two hands, then my decision-making process, where it went wrong, where it might have gone right, um, things to watch out for, what sort of players you might be up against, what their tendencies are, that kind of stuff, which kind of, because there's a lot of unknowns here. You don't know what you're up against. You can tell, you can work out with very, very good accuracy your probability of hitting a particular hand. You know, that's, but you can't know what's going on in other people's heads, and that's where there's the real uncertainty. But we're going to talk about that in a sec. Okay. Hello. Well, this is my spreadsheet, and as you can see, it's it's got a few little bits and pieces in it. The top left of the spreadsheet here just shows the ranking of each type of badugis. These are the, your badugis. Doesn't matter if it's a pat badugi or a badugi you make on by drawing. Um, it's just simply the ranking. So if you say have a 10-7 badugi, that's 161. So that would actually be the worst 10-7. 10-6-5, 10-7-6-5 would be the 161st best badugi or whatever. So Jack 9 would be the 294th. Jack 9, 8-7 would be 294th best badugi, and so forth, right? 715 is a total number of badugis. You can see right at it's almost like a pyramid. You could write this or show this as a pyramid, which would be kind of nice because you've got the top of the pyramid where you get this rarefied air of, of these fours, fives, sixes. There are 15 fours, fives, and sixes. And you probably hear me, if you ever watch one of my videos, if somebody makes a really big hand, I will say, oh, he's got number 7 there, right? So number 7 would be 6-4-2 ace, for instance. These are the real monsters. And if you had even a good 7, I'd put in that monster category. And the sort of things that you want to be drawing to. You can chalk it up as a bad beat when you don't win with a hand like that. As soon as you start to go down to the rougher 7s, it's like, okay, you're going to lose with them sometimes. So yeah, that's that part of the spreadsheet. There's this part here is shows you the probability of being dealt a certain hand. So this kind of just converts these, if you like, into probabilities. So here we have 10-7 or better. There's a 1 in 70 chance that you'll get a hand as good as that or better. So you're going to only have a 1 in 16 chance of having a badugi, of being dealt a badugi. It's useful to know that, right? So 6%, just over 6% of the time, you will get a dealt pat badugi. Then obviously it's a small subset of that 1 in 16 when you get up to here, right? 1 in 750 odd is the chance of getting a 6 or better, and there are 15 of them. If you multiply that by 15, then you can see that getting the nut badugi is about roughly 1 in 11,000, something along those lines. So yeah, it's not like in triple draw or it's deuce to 7 rather, where you're at 1 in 3,000 to get the nuts, because you must have four four different suits, four distinct suits. It's actually much less. It's about 1 in 11,000. So, so it kind of makes it quite interesting. The real nut hands, those real monster hands, don't show up quite as often as certainly not as in triple draw, where they show up all the time. Now this part here, this little part of this table shows if there are X number of players at the table, then the chance that somebody actually already has you beaten, right, with a pat hand better than your pat hand, and that happens sometimes, of course. So if you look at, say, so if you're on a full table, 8-handed table, and you have, say, a 10-7, so there's 1 in 70 chance that you will have you'll be dealt a hand like that or better. There's 1 in 10 chance that someone's actually got you beaten right from the start, which that will happen, right? It also shows you, which is obvious, really. I mean, 70. When you think about it, 70 divided by 7, you've got 7 opponents. It's 1 in 10. There's a tiny chance, of course, in that lot that the 2 opponents will have a better hand than you, but that's really, really tiny and not enough to affect that probability. It also shows the importance of position. If you're under the gun, you are facing 7 opponents. Nobody's folded, so there are 8 of you, including yourself, and there is that 1 in 10 chance. And then, but then if you're saying the cutoff, right, you only have to worry about, effectively it's a 4-handed table then. Everybody else has folded before you. You've got the button, you've got the 2 blinds. Suddenly there's a 1 in 24 chance. And you can see right down here, 1 in 4, 1 in 3, that sort of thing. If you have these really rough badugis and you're out of position, if you're under the gun +1, that kind of stuff, it's actually very likely someone's going to have a better hand than you to begin with, a better pat hand, to say nothing of the chance that they're going to be able to outdraw you. That's why it's often like suicidal to play like a king under the gun, right? At a full table, 7-handed table, right? 6-handed. You've got to hope that someone doesn't already have you beaten, and hope they're not going to outdraw you, and etc. etc. Especially at a loose table, everyone's going to just call you. There are exceptions to this. Obviously, everything's got exceptions. If you're at a very, very tight table, if you're on the bubble of a tournament or something, and you've got a big stack, all this sort of stuff, but this 1 in 3. I even think that's an underestimate, really. I think I've just rounded that. So yeah, 1 in 2.72. So it's about 37%. So yeah, if you're under the gun, it's an 8-handed table with a king, like a bad king. Obviously, this would then there's about a 37% chance that someone's already got you beaten. You can go around here, 37. What would this one be? If I just do this, so that's roughly 1 in 3. So you've got about a 33% chance that someone's beaten you from the second position, or if you're under the gun to 7-handed table, same thing. So the number of opponents is why position is so important. and this will show this. This table shows this again. Actually, this on the right. This is the kind of where the kind of almost the important part of the spreadsheet is. This table here, three draws to come. Here we've got two draws to come. Here we've got one draw to come. And this is the chance. If you have a pat hand of whatever strength, I haven't bothered with a 4 or 5. If you're losing with one of them, well, that's just not quite your day, is it? But uh, but yeah, various strength, pat hand, and the chance that somebody is going to outdraw you, have you beaten when they're drawing. So three draws to come, two draws to come, one draw to come. All sorts of possibilities here. We've just got one opponent that drawing one card, which is the most common. Sometimes they're going to be drawing two cards. You might have two opponents. You might have three. You might have four. All this sort of stuff. And just the probability that your hand is going to hold up. And of course, you could invert that. Say if you are the person drawing, what is the chance that you are going to win against somebody? Like especially in this, multi-way, that's a bit more difficult to do. And I mean, you could be there could be four of you in the pot, and you could all be drawing. You could be drawing one, someone else drawing one, someone else drawing one, someone else drawing two. If you're drawing very, very smooth, what's your chance of winning? It's probably like 30% or something. This table doesn't quite do that possibly. It's really difficult to kind of calculate that. This is all about pat hands, trying to outdraw pat hands. Oh gosh. So yeah, so you can sort of see. Here's an example. At the beginning, if you actually have a king badugi at the beginning, you only have a 49% chance of it holding up. So somebody who's got a good draw um, is it doesn't even have to be the nut. It just has to be good enough to beat your hand or anything. It's actually a very, very small favourite. Now, this is the only time actually where a single drawing hand, is a favourite to beat a pat hand. And you can sort of see as you go up up the scale, that obviously the chance of it holding up keeps going up. And if you have more opponents, it holds up. But it goes down because you have more people to beat. Now, what's interesting is that you can see it's roughly half here, and it halves with the second opponent, but the third opponent halves again. So these really rough badugis, or even sort of semi-rough badugis, even like a 10, does not play very well multi-way. So if you have a 10-9, 10-8, something like that under the gun, if it's a really, really loose game, you've got a full table, you can actually consider folding that hand. It seems really, really tight, doesn't it? Most of the time, I'm not going to fold there, but you do get these tables where, especially in these tournaments, early stages of tournaments, where everyone just calls no matter what you do. In that case, I'd much rather have, say, 6-3-2 as a draw than 10-9-7-2 as a badugi, right? I mean, that's not even close. You suffer from reverse implied odds with a 10 as well. Can be difficult to actually fold something like that. But even a 9 can be difficult, You can't really fold a 9 if somebody raises you, but especially in these tournaments, you never know what people might do. So anyway, and here we've got two draws. Obviously, your chance of it holding up with only two draws to come goes up, and then with one draw to come, you can see, but even a really rough badugi, if you've got one opponent just drawing one card, you're close to 80% to win there, right? Um yeah, so obviously it goes up as if you have a better hand. So a drawing hand with only one draw to come is is a very big underdog, and that is why snowing is such a big part of this game. It can be a big part of the game, more maybe in cash games than in tournaments, but depends, right? What sort of table you're on and stuff, because most of the time they're not going to hit anything. Uh, it's actually quite hard to hit a badugi on just one draw, and even with two draws to come, you're kind of with a sort of even with a pretty rough badugi, you're a 2-1 favourite there to win, and they might just fold at that point anyway, because in a limit game after the second draw, then they're facing a big bet that they have to call, right? So that's a good chance they're going to fold to that. So that's why snowing is needs to be in your arsenal, and you know you've got to have that in your locker somewhere. So I hope that you stare at this sheet now and just have a look at things. You know, I mean, this is kind of illuminating all this sort of stuff that you know, with a pat hand, you just don't with a kind of rough pat hand, you just don't want many opponents. Um, so I hope that is useful. You know, screenshot it or something. You're getting this for free. This cost me. I I don't know whether it really cost me much to make this, but it cost me quite a bit of time. So that's the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet. Hope that was useful. And now I'm gonna show you my actual hands, the hands that I played. Okay, have fun with them as well. So now I'm going to show you the first hand from a fixed limit tournament, $5.50 buy-in. You see me here. I don't have a whole lot of chips. Might not look too bad, but blinds are 800 and 1600. I have, so the bets are 800 and 1600. So I have I have about two and a half. I have about two and a half big bets left. You can also see I'm in 19th place out of 21. So I'm really not in good shape, and if I get a good hand, I'm going to have to go with it. So what's my position going to be? I think I'm under the gun here, right? Because you're going to be the button on the next hand. So yeah, so here goes. 2, 3. Here we go. Here we go, everybody. Hold on to your hats. Oh shit. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Is he packed? If he is, well, I'm gonna. What do I do with this? Do I call? Now, the chance that I'm okay. Ah, okay. I'm gonna hold on to this. Oh, yeah, okay. I felt that he was going to be pat with a better hand, worse hand sometimes. More likely, I think it's really close. That actually, I probably should have drawn again. Probably should have drawn again. I think it's close. Jack definitely. Ah! So obviously, I had a decision to make there, didn't I? I hit the queen on the first draw, had queen 3 2 ace, and I had to decide whether to keep the queen or not. Now, actually, the thing is, I obviously I kept the queen. It didn't work out for me. Nearly always, I break a queen 3 2 ace. I don't know why I didn't break there, really. Because, well, I mean, the simple reason was, I mean, so I was under the gun. I was really short, and he might have been doing his play, might have been making his move there with any badugi. I mean, it's possible, right? I mean, I didn't know him very well. He didn't seem to be this Metallica guy, Metallica fan guy, as you saw. He didn't seem to be doing anything really out of line, so I probably should have, yeah, should have thought about drawing there, but you know. But anyway, I decided to pat, and you saw what happened. So the thing is, you can work this out probabilistically a little bit. That so here's a little bit of the spreadsheet. You can see a little bit of the spreadsheet here, right? Two draws to come. That's what I've got. Two draws to come to try and either improve my queen and hit a hand that beats his hand, or pat my queen and hope that it actually is already better than his pat hand. Okay. Now I've got the nut queen. So you can see, you know, if he is so that this column here shows he's just drawing one card. So I'm drawing one card. So I've got to think about it from his point of this is from his point of view, his chance of his badugi beating what I have if I decide to draw. So if he has, you know, if he has say a 9, which is what he did have, he would have had a 76% chance of having the best hand at the end if I'd drawn twice to try and beat that hand. Um, of course, yeah, I mean, that is what happened. Of course, he had a 100% chance of beating my hand because I chose not to draw. I decided to forego those two draws, right? Um, so the thing is, what you can do here is you can weight the chances of him having all of these different hands. So if he is patting a king or better, so if he's patting absolutely any badugi in that spot, you can just take the weighted average of all of these because there are fives and fours. I haven't put them in there. Um, so you've got 38% here. That would be my chance of winning the hand if I drew. 35% here, so it's 100, just 100 minus these, 31%. And then you can calculate the weighted average of these. Obviously, if he's patting any king or better, then it's simply the weighted average of all of these. And it works out here, you can see at about 32%, but about a 32% chance of beating his hand, given that you don't know what this is. You just take a weighted average of it if it includes everything, kings, queens, the lot. If he's never patting a king, if he's only patting a queen or better, then that goes down because obviously his range is stronger there. So my chance of drawing and hitting a better hand than his is down to 29% roughly. And if it's jacks, if he's only paying jacks or better, which could be realistic. I mean, might be what I would do there. I don't know. Don't know actually. Depends how big my stack is, what the other guys like, all sorts of what behind me is going to be like, how close to the bubble we are, all this kind of stuff. We're like 5 spots off the bubble, I think, 5 or 6. They're down to 26% in that case, right? So the things you don't know. So the equity, if I draw, you can see it could have about a 1 in 3 chance, a 1 in 4 chance, something like that. Obviously, I'm an underdog no matter what I do, but now you've got to think about what's the equity if I pat. This is the thing. Do I draw? Do I pat? If he is patting all badugis, then I'm actually a favourite with my hand. So Queen 3-2 ace. That the the median badugi, I think it's Queen 7-5-2. It's useful to know, right? Queen 7-5-2 is the median badugi. So you've got 715 badugis. That one is right in the middle, which would be number 358. Absolute slap bang in the middle. So obviously Queen 3-2 ace is better than that. So you'd actually be ahead of 54% of his pat hands if he was patting everything. Of course, if he only pats queens or better, then suddenly he doesn't have a king. So the only things that you beat then are all the worst queens, which still make up a reasonable proportion, about a third of his. So a third of all hands that are queens or better are actually queens. Okay, so there's 33% equity there. I'd had if I decided to pat and he had a queen or better. Of course, if he has a jack or better, if he only pats jacks or better in that spot, then I have no equity at all, clearly. So the things you don't know, do you? You don't know. Obviously, if he's only patting jacks or better, I mean, who knows? He could only be paying tens or better. I don't think so, but it's possible. But anyway, then obviously I have to draw there. Um, my equity goes from 0 to 26 by drawing if he only pats jacks or better. If he pats queens or better, it's actually pretty close. Slight advantage to patting, and obviously if he's patting everything, well then patting is the way to go. 54 against 32. So what is it? Well, I just said if you really had no idea, I thought what you could do is average these out. So there's a 1 in 3 chance he's got that strategy, 1 in 3 chance he has that strategy, 1 in 3 chance he has that strategy. And then you look at them, if you do that, it's a complete wash. 29% basically either way, makes no difference. How good is that assumption? I actually don't think it's that good. I think from what I could tell about him, he probably did not have a king. He probably did not have a king in his range there. He might have had a queen. Against a different opponent with a read that he could be doing that with anything. Maybe even non-badugis too. Possible too, right? That's the other thing. He might not even have a badugi. That's a possibility too, right? He certainly probably should have some strong three cards in his range, but you don't see people three betting non-badugis that often in these tournaments. You just don't see that people don't actually three bet their strong three card hands enough. So I'm tending to think he's probably on this sort of strategy there, in which case obviously it's very, very clear cut. So I think looking back, I mean this tells me this it doesn't really matter, but I think I would be better off, not just because I'm being results oriented there, he had a 9, but I think just given how people actually play, I probably should have drawn that. Probably should have done. Because even my draw is so damn good. That's the other thing, right? And even if he had the nuts, I could have chopped with him there. So that was that decision. So now I'm going to get onto the second hand, which is rather different. It's from a pot limit game. So onto that now. So this hand here, right, is from a pot limit. It's a tiny buy. It's only 220. It's a bugger that it's so small, really. But this time, I think it's the top 20 that get paid. See, I do actually have it's a bounty tournament too. I have some bounties. So he's got more bounties than me. I have a reasonable stack, and I'm in the middle of the pack. 26 left, and I'm 13th, right? So bang in the middle, basically. We've still got a bit of play left. In 2 minutes, we're going up to 350 and 700, which will mean I'll have an M of around about 12, something like that. So still got a little bit of play left, right? So see what happens here. Well, here's a big hand, big draw. Some people do here. Raises up again. He's going all in. Okay, I'm probably going to have to call him, you know. Or do I? Do I call him here? What are the odds I'm getting? Okay. What do I have to call here? 4,000 in 2 to 1. I'm gonna have to call here, right? Damn. Huh. Damn it. Okay. In 2 to 1. Okay. Not much I can do about that, really. So you can see I had a decision to make there as well. And this time I actually think I made the right decision. But I think to call the 3 bet, a lot of things to think about there. But I said I was getting 2 to 1. I wasn't quite getting 2 to 1 because he was clearly going to put the rest. He only had a little bit of extra money in after he 3 bet pre-flop, before the draw. He had a little bit of extra money there still. He wasn't quite all in then. And that money was clearly going all in. So that part of his stack, that little part there, I was only going to get 1 to 1 on that because I had to call that, right? Without any extra money in the pot before. So I that's what I had to call 5194. That was what was sort of in the pot. So yes, the pot had that in it before. So I had to call 5194. And the pot was 9334. That's right. So my equity is that divided by 5194 plus 9334, which works out to about 36%, right? So I need a little bit more than I wasn't quite getting 2 to 1. 2 to 1 would be 33.3. This is roughly 36. It's a little bit under 2 to 1 there on my call, considering the rest of the money was all going to go in. His money was all going to go all in. It's all going to go in. Right, got that right. So then again, it's a similar sort of thing here. So it's quite different. You can see my little part of the spreadsheet now, looking at the part with 3 draws to come. and I'm obviously going to be drawing. I had a very, very strong draw. Of course, there's no guarantee he's necessarily going to have a pat hand. So let's come on to that in a minute. But if he's got pat, if he's got any pat hand there, which I think he probably should be three betting with any pat hand, because look at the configuration. I hear this word a lot with in Hold'em, your configuration. So I was on the cutoff there, so I was in late position, and he's in the on the button, so he should have a pretty wide range there. I think I would. Well, I don't know. It's difficult because like not going broke has a value, right? But in these tournaments, actually, these bounty tournaments, building up a bigger stack also has a significant value too. Uh, it's the two things kind of counteract each other a bit. If you build up a bigger stack, you're able to get more people's bounties, and it's actually really important. So I think his range, he should be three betting like a really wide range there, because my range of raising there, my of is pretty wide. I think on the cutoff I've got three card sevens, maybe some eights. I've even got some two card draws sometimes, or the vast majority of badugis. Some rough kings I might not get involved with. I don't know. Depends how I feel. There are some big stacks in the blind, and that might influence my thinking a little bit. Um, so so I have to think about sort of the probabilities of various things. So assuming he does have a pat hand though, and this is another thing to think about, is that some people they only three bet when they have a pat hand. It's crazy, but true. So who knows? I could even have a bluff there or something. It's not entirely out of the question. So so if his range includes every pat king, well then I have a 43% chance to beat that. And you can see here I have a 49. Actually, this is his chance. This is his chance of his hand holding up in this column here. He's only drawing, and I'm drawing one card. I've got to try and beat him. So I would actually have a 51% chance of beating a pat king, 47% chance of beating a queen, 43% of a jack, 38% of a 10, and so forth. Um, haven't got fives and fours in there again, but the chance of beating them is negligible. But the chance of having that is negligible too. So you can see here, if you take the weighted average of 51, 47, 43, 38, 34, etc., but weight them by the probability of him having that hand. So I think it's 31% chance that 31% of all badugis are kings, so 31% weighting on to the 51. 23% of all badugis are queens. You give 23% weighting to the 47. I think 17 are jacks, 17%. And you weight them all, and then you actually take the weighted average of all of these, or 100% minus all of these. That gets this 43%. If he doesn't ever have a king, then you only take the weighted average of these numbers here, or 100 minus these numbers. You can sort of see, obviously, so you've got 47, 43, all sorts of, weight them by the probability of having. So then the chance of having a queen is higher. The chance of having a jack is higher. If he never has a king, then the weighted average of all of these, or 1 minus all of these, is roughly 40%. Jacks or better, it's 36%. And you can see the jacks or better, if that's his range, then it's basically the same as this. So if he's patting, if he only ever has a jack or better, never has a three card hand, never has anything else, then I'm getting basically it's a neutral. I'm neutral on my call there of his three bet. Yeah. All right. I think I think did I just put all the money in anyway. I think that's what I did, right? because all the money was going to go in. And then if he only has a 10 or better, I mean, you never know. People play like that sometimes. Then obviously, then in that situation, it's a losing play to call. But I find it hard to believe that that's going to be his strategy. Of course, he had a 9, and like the chance of me beating a 9 was, I had 34%, so it was only marginally negative EV. And then you consider what the bounties I could get. If I get rid of him, I get his bounty. I also get the chance of then I'd have a fairly formidable stack and be able to get other people's bounties later on too. I'm pretty sure I made the right decision there to call or to just get him or put him all in. That's what happened. And, okay, he had a really big hand. He had a really big hand for the situation there actually, considering he was on the button. So it's a bit unlucky that he woke up with such a big hand. Oh, I thought one thing to think about though is I did actually have a blocker there. I think I had a 3 blocker, which is normally a really good thing to have. It reduces the possibility that somebody else is going to make a strong hand. But in this situation, I actually think it was a negative because we're only talking about the margins here because it increases the chance that he doesn't have a 3-card hand. I mean, that 3 is going to be part of a lot of very strong 3-card hands. So it does sort of increase the chance that he had a pat hand rather than a 3-card hand. So I'm pretty sure I made the right decision there. It's just nice to see it on paper, as it were. So anyway, there were 2 hands you got to see. You got some decisions to make. It's a little bit hard if you don't know how people play. You can do all the probability work in the world, but you don't know how people play. But I thought those 2 hands were kind of interesting. I mean, that second tournament, I did end up cashing, so I think I finished 14th or something. So I maybe made a slight profit from that tournament with the bounties and a min cash, basically. Um, that wasn't what I was hoping for. But anyway, yeah. So there's 2 hands. I might put some more up when I have some decisions to make. And yeah, see what else comes up. Well, that's all from me. All from me for today. Nice day here today. And yeah, I'll be back pretty shortly, I guess. Okay, bye.